Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Will Richardson, and this is There's a Will. With me in the studio, I have two excellent guests. The usual Nicholas Richardson. We can never get enough of him,
No, you
especially your sartorial splendor.
Thank you.
Which is always refreshment for the eyes.
Thank you very much for saying so.
But speaking of refreshment for the eyes and the mind, is our guest from Kyiv, who now is living in Warsaw. This is Karima Romaniv. Was that close? Was that okay?
Yes.
It wasn't bad. Okay. I'm no Larry King, that's for sure. Okay. And we have on Skype from Kyiv, Father ALEKSANDER ZIELISKI.
Yes.
Right?
Hello.
Because there's a Y and an I on the end? Because people are always giving me a hard time because I can't pronounce anything. So I'm trying my best. And we have with us also OLGIERD UZIEMBŁO from, where are you right now there, Professor?
In Podlasie, it's on the eastern part of Poland, towards Belarus.
Towards Belarus. Okay, so you're near the border of Belarus, out in the countryside. You've joined us. Looks like a nice, comfortable setting there. Professor UZIEMBŁO is a specialist in Asian matters, particularly those Chinese, a sinologist, it's called. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually.
I thought there was a doctor who looked at your nose
No.
and tried to fix the problems, yeah? No?
That's sinusologist.
Oh, that's a sinusologist. Okay. Very good. Listen, ask me what I've been doing lately. Hi, Karima. Ask me what I've been doing lately.
Well, I don't know, what have you been doing lately? Clearly not collecting your thoughts.
No. I've been collecting more data.
Oh, good.
I've been in the countryside. There's no thoughts to be collected in the countryside. Just nice photographs and stories to tell.
Good.
And I was down at the Eagle's Nest, the Trail of the Eagle's Nest with Vova from Kyiv, my cameraman.
Your intrepid cameraman.
My intrepid cameraman. That's a good word for him. He's very intrepid. If he went back to Ukraine, it wouldn't let him out, so he'd be even more intrepid. His brother's there. His brother's also a director of photography. So anyway, we drove down and we went to Czestochowa and we started backwards because this line of castles begins in Krakow, goes to Czestochowa. Okay? We started in Czestochowa because, gosh, we've been to Krakow a few times and we hadn't been with the show to Czestochowa, so I kind of wanted to go there, right? So we went there and we filmed the Jasna Góra, and then we went and did a couple of more castles, moving our way towards Krakow. So it was a lot of fun, and boy, did I learn a lot about some medieval problems. There was a lot of war. It's not just now.
No.
There was a lot of war back then with Casimir the Great, huge amount of war. He built 35 castles or something like that, a lot, and fortresses, towers and fortresses. So it's a fascinating place. One of the most interesting places, I would wager to say, in Europe, if you like medieval castles, which I do.
Good.
Yeah, you like that sort of thing.
I do. I like all that sort of thing.
And
yes.
in England, you have so many.
We do.
Beautiful things. Yeah. Okay. We have. We're going to come back with and get Karima's story because Karima, you were in. I should say what you do. You're a translator, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you do. And we'll get more into your background later. And you were living in Kyiv the last 7-8 years.
Yes.
But you were in Kherson the day the war started, and that's where we'll come in with you. But I want to go before we get into OLGIERD, mostly in the second half of the show, but welcoming comments from him throughout. I want to focus on Father ALEKSANDER in Kyiv, if I may. Are you there, sir? Hi.
Yes. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm now in Kyiv, where we work in also television, Catholic television.
Yes, you're working with my friend Ivo, or is that correct? EWTN?
Yeah. Yes, he's like, I think, how to say, manager for Europe, or because WTN is the world television. So, but we have our branch here in Ukraine also.
Well, he's a very intelligent boss. So you're in good hands. I'm sure you knew that already. Didn't need me to tell you. Can you give us a little bit of an update on what's going on in Kyiv to start the show? Really start the show. The Secretary General of the United Nations was there this week. And while he was there were some missile blasts there Thursday, for sure. What's the climate in Kyiv right now? Do you feel safe? What are you thinking?
Yes, I heard that Secretary General said that he was shocked that this happened, and many of people also here in Ukraine, but I saw also that in the whole world was shocked that Russia did it just when he was in Kyiv. But yes, we see many things, many what Russia did during this war. Very often it's not human. I can say also maybe that many of this violence, of this bombing of also civil people, of cities, of schools, of churches, it's like devil did. Yeah? So so we can say that from one side it was some not understandable for many people why they did it, but from the other side I can say that we can see in the many different places that Russia didn't Russia did this similar things, and they very often didn't hear what the world community said to them. Yes, it's for us very sad. That yes, very sad to see it, to experience it, to this brutal, I can say brutal war in this 21st century. Many violence, many bombardings, also in the civil houses, as it was 2 days ago in Kyiv. So,
do you feel safe there?
Generally, yes, I feel safe, but we don't have a Russian army near Kyiv now, so it is for us gives some feeling of safety. Yes, but also we are aware that anytime Russia can send next rockets anywhere, also in Kyiv. So we are not sure that this rocket will not hit in our house. I'm not sure. So this is, I'm not in this most dangerous place now in Ukraine from one side, but from the other side, I can say that I feel safe totally. I can feel safe that nothing bad will happen, because I know that these rockets, which were hit or 2 days ago, it could also hit in this area where I now live in Kyiv.
Thank you, Father, for that. And we're thinking about, obviously, you in Ukraine and all Ukraine, as much as we can encompass that. I think Poland and Ukraine are coming closer and closer together. Even your president has said that. And this is an interesting subject that we might expand at a later date. But thank you for that. Stay with us, please. I want to go and throw the show over to Karima now. Karima, you're from Kyiv, but you were in Kherson when the war started. Can you tell us about what that was like when it happened?
Actually, not in Kherson. I was in Novakhovka, and it's hard to explain, because when I heard the first bomb in the morning, I woke up, and because of house was vibrating, because of very loud voice. And but I go outside to the balcony to see what is going on. maybe I will see something in the sky, but I didn't see anything. I was thinking maybe it was a dream because I don't see anything outside. Maybe it's my fantasy because before it starts we see a lot of news, and maybe it was just a dream. After I go to sleep and heard the second and the third, the same noise. Yes, and after I see my mom start nervous, you know. And when you open your phone, you don't see any messages, any notification from, I don't know, from the government for anyone else that war started. And the same, I go outside and to see maybe it's something I can see and to know that it's really war started. It's not my imagination. It's not because I sleep very good, you know. Maybe
so it took a large noise to wake you up. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
But at about 8 o'clock, our small city start to be noisy, you know, because we know that something started, but we don't know what is going on exactly. This city is too close to Crimea, yes. And some people just sat to their cars and leave this city immediately. I have also 2 small brothers and 2 small sisters in this city, yes. And when I was trying to organize myself, my mother, children to leave this city, it was too late. It was too late because about 11, 12 o'clock, Russian closed the way to the Kherson. It's the one way how we can leave our city.
Yes. We say Kherson, but it's Kherson, I think, in Ukraine. Is that right? The pronunciation. How do you say it again? We say Kherson.
Kherson, yes.
Is that, you said something a little different.
Yes, yes, because we
Nicholas,
say...
you want to
yes,
help out?
it's a little bit different in Russian.
Yeah, it's a little different, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. And so the road leaving your village to Kherson was closed?
Yes, was closed because we have water electric station here, and it's very important part for Russia. And it's also Crimea water channel.
This is where the water goes to Crimea
Yes,
that they've been
yes.
talking about. This is why it was so important. Okay.
That's why our city is occupied from the first day. They put the flag on this water station and closed the bridge how we can leave.
So they're right next to Nicholas. They're right next to Crimea. This is the point, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. How did you get? What did you do next?
I was staying there for 1 month. For this 1 month, I did only 2 things. The first is to try to find a food, because the first week we was sitting in how to say it in English?
In the basement.
Yes.
Underground.
Underground,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Thank you. We were sitting underground because Russian they put all of the equipment in the center of the city. It's maybe 300-500 meters from my house, you know. And we heard everything and we see everything, and it was terrible, you know, because every minute when you stay there, you don't know when you will get the rocket from Ukraine to this side, you know. And when they put the mark when the rocket will fall down, it will be too close for our house. And actually it's very small city. It's much smaller than Mariupol. That's why not many rockets they need to destroy this city. Yes, but we are lucky because after 1 week we were safe. Yes, we didn't get...
Because you were there for a month, right?
Yes, for 1 month.
And then, how did you get out of, after this month? When did you leave? 1 month, 5 weeks? How did you get out?
Long story. I was trying...
We've got 10 minutes till the end of the segment.
I was waiting for green corridor, but after 2 weeks I understood that we will not get it. And the only way is to find your own solution. But we know a lot of real stories. It's not fake news that all the people who go to Kherson, Nikolaev cities, they were killing on the road in their cars. It's absolutely true. That's why it was very clean, very clean to understand that we cannot leave the city. So the one way is go to Crimea, to Russia. But we don't know what will happen with us on the Russian border, you know, because we don't have Ukrainian border there. Yes, only Russian. And we don't know, maybe they will take our passports, maybe they will not allow us to leave it. And I had this thought in my mind, but I didn't have any news about it. I was contact so many delivery companies who go to Crimea, you know, for delivery. I was asking them, do you work with Crimea now? Do you have cars go to Crimea? They said no. But one day, my good friend from Nova Kakhovka, from my city, who is living for 2 years in Sevastopol, write me that there is one chance to leave Nova Kakhovka, because she also wanted to help us to leave this city, because we don't know what can happen one day. Maybe it will be the second Mariupol. Nobody knows. And I told this idea to my family. They said, no, we will not go to Crimea, no, not to Russia. we want, if we leave our homes, we want to leave it through Ukraine and go to Poland directly. That's why I should to pass this way by myself and to try, is it real or no. But my friend told me that it's absolutely safe
to go to Crimea.
Way. Yes,
but
to
once
go
you're
to
there,
Crimea.
where do you go?
Yes.
You can't leave if you go to Crimea, right?
You can.
Oh, is that what you're going to tell us?
Yes.
How?
Very easy, actually very easy.
Well, tell us how easy it was.
So you take a bus, because this company who help us come to the Europe from Nova Kakhovka, it's Russian company. That's why Russian cars allowed. No, allowed, yes.
Are allowed.
Allowed to enter to our region, to our cities, allowed enter to Kherson, to Nova Kakhovka, to take people and evacuate them. But it's not green corridor, it's private evacuation. That's why you should pay for that, yes. So these cars with Russian numbers enter inside our cities, take the people who has order, yes, and take us to Simferopol, Crimea.
Sevastopol?
Simferopol.
Simferopol? I don't
It's
know.
close to Sevastopol.
It's close.
It's very close,
My
yes.
geography on Crimea is not great. Okay. It goes back to study of the, what was that war? Charge of the Light Brigade War? Yeah. Crimean War? Yeah. Okay.
And after we take another bus, go through Russia. First from Sevastopol, go to Moscow.
You went to Moscow?
Not directly to Moscow, but through Moscow.
But you went through Russia to Moscow?
Yes.
From Crimea?
Yes.
So your town that has the water
yes.
that the Russians want very much. This is famous, actually. Now that I remember, we all know the story about the water. It's been going on for years. All right, so then you take a Russian bus and you go to Crimea, near Sevastopol.
Yes.
Then you go through Russia to Moscow, right? Then what happens? We got 5 minutes till the end of the break. I can't wait.
From Moscow, go to Latvia, and from Latvia through Litva, go to Poland. All by bus.
Ah. Oh, right. So you went from Moscow to Latvia. So there was a way out to Latvia. And people didn't say to you, you have Ukrainian passport or which one?
Yes, I have Ukrainian passport.
You use Ukrainian passport. They said, okay, you can go to Latvia. So Russian, isn't it?
But it's very interesting.
We have a war, but what the heck? Right? Yeah, so there's a loophole. That is fascinating. When you got to Latvia, did you kiss the ground?
Yes.
You did,
because
didn't you?
before I entered to Latvia, I was standing outside for 15 hours, just just stay outside with
On
with
the
the
border?
luggage. Yes, on the border. Just stay and wait.
To walk across or on the
Yes,
bus?
to
You
wa-
walked across.
Yes, walked across. Bus left.
How many people were with you?
About 50 people.
About 50 people in the
Yeah.
group that was waiting.
Yeah.
And when you came to the gate to go across, what did they ask you? They just a passport and they didn't just stamp it. No. It was a
No.
lot of
No.
what
they have
happened?
private interview.
Private interview.
Yes, with everyone. Yes, when you leave
What did they say to you in
and
your
when
private?
you
And when you go back?
yes when you go
But
back.
what did they say to you in the private interview?
The first they asked me, Crimea is Ukrainian or Russian?
You knew what to say.
And I know what you say, but you know, when you know that it's the only one way to leave this terrible
You
place.
said Russian.
I said, I don't know.
I don't care.
I don't know, yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
I'm not
And-
political.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, good. Okay, what's the next one?
The next,
Nicholas and I are,
I give him my
probably
passport.
OLGIERD as well, and Father Alexander. Yes?
I give him my passport, and there is very, very small Ukrainian flag on the cover of my passport.
Right.
And he started to do like this. What is it? What did you give me? I said, you know what is it? He said, and what else? I said nothing. You can leave it, and he just give it to me. And so many questions about where you go, what you will do, will you come back to Ukraine, do you want to stay in Russia, where is your relatives, who wait you in Europe, so many questions. What did you do before war? Yes. So
Translator, right?
Translator, yes.
Yeah.
And
Which languages do you translate?
Chinese, English, Ukrainian, Russian.
Good Lord. She's way too smart for us, Nicholas.
Indeed. Indeed.
Too smart for me, anyway, that's for sure. This is obvious. Yeah, nobody needed to hear that.
And they also check phone. That's why before go there, I delete a lot of groups, chats, private conversation, a lot of videos and photos what happened in Nova Kakhovka, which I sent to my friends.
You deleted everything.
Yes, I deleted everything, and yes, and they checked everything, even email, your
Did they tell
history.
you to delete it? Did they tell you to? Did your friends tell you delete everything?
Yes,
Or
my
you
friend told
said,
me.
get rid of
yes,
everything. When you go
yes.
to Crimea, get rid of it.
Yes.
Before, on the bus or whenever, get rid of
Yes.
it. So you sent all your stuff to your friends, so you have a record, right? Very good.
And now
She'd
I
make a good
heard.
spy.
And now I heard some stories, actually from my friend. It's stories of other Ukrainian who had the same way, really on the border. They didn't delete some bad words about Russian, and they really didn't allow them.
They didn't allow them to go.
Yes.
So they said, okay, she doesn't care about politics, just some girl, she's a translator. What's translation, smanslation? Who cares? Means nothing. Okay, what an extraordinary story. Okay, that's the end of the segment. Perfect timing. We got to the end. Nicholas, you want the last word?
No, remarkable story.
Yeah. Anything you want to cap that with anything? You always have words of wisdom.
No, it's just a fascinating story. On one hand, very brave and very difficult.
Yeah.
Yet on the other hand, at one level, remarkably easy. I caught a bus. When you put it like that, it sounds very simple.
That's
but
the
the
name
idea
of the
that you
short
can
story,
actually
isn't it?
leave,
Or the article.
you go into Crimea.
Have you written this article yet? We're going to talk later.
Yeah, we should. Yeah,
We're going to talk
But
later.
Then you just how
Let's
did I?
let's
Well,
do it together.
I sort of
I'll work with you on it. What?
got into Crimea, then got a series of Russian buses to the Latvian border and crossed. I mean,
Okay.
very dramatic, but in some ways, it's actually remarkably simple.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Father Alexander, for being with us. Was that a great story? Isn't that amazing? OLGIERD, thank you, sir. We'll see you. I hope you'll come back and join us on the show, Father Alexander. OLGIERD, stay with us. After the break, we're going to talk about the Asian mind. I'm going to let you and Nicholas and Karima go crazy trying to figure this thing out, because it's given me a huge headache. Bless you, Father.
Thank you.
For I have sinned. Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Okay.
Yes. Thank
See you next. Will you join us again? I hope. Yeah. Will you join us again? Will you,
yes,
will you be on the show again sometime?
if you will need my presence, yes.
Of
I
course
can
we need
try.
your presence. You make us feel much better. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to the break now. We'll be back with more with OLGIERD UZIEMBŁO. Ziembło, I'm told by the
Yes.
producer. I'll get it right, I promise. I'll say it 10 times during the break. Thank you very much. See you after the break. Hello, everybody. There's a Will is back, and it's time for me. Nicholas told me I never plug my book, so I should. Did you read my book?
I did read your book. It's actually very good, yeah. And I actually met the character on which the story is based in real life.
It is based on a true story.
Yeah.
That's the front page. It's all about cows.
Well, I wouldn't
Cows. I've had a lot of notes from cows about my book. They said moo.
Yes. It's not all about cows,
They
though,
just
is
said
it?
moo. This was strange. Anyway, it's an adventure story about a guy called Bobby J. Mann, who lives an adventure for our time, it says, spanning continents and decades. All right? There it is. Go to Amazon, and you can buy this book that took me a long time to write. And the sequel, what happens after this, is coming out in June or July, I think. July. Yeah. So the second book will be coming out soon. And it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. It's a what they call a page turner.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. All right, I want to come back in. We're in the studio with Nicholas Richardson, Karima Romaniv. What a name.
Yeah.
Instagram star, is she? And OLGIERD, is she an Instagram star? OLGIERD UZIEMBŁO.
I have to admit, I do not use Instagram.
So you don't know if
Yeah.
she's a star or not, but
No.
she's on there. Okay, all right. You'll show some stuff later. All right, and maybe you'll put the show on Instagram. Amazing. Or a link or something. Fame at last. Our name on Instagram. Okay. You had a question. We were talking in the break, OLGIERD.
Yeah, because we were discussing how Karima escaped, and this is a really brave story. You have to realize it must have costed a lot of money and nerves, all that way. And she was like, I understand it was kind of like, trying to find a way. And how about the family? Because you told us that there is still a family. What happened then?
They leave after me. After I passed this way successfully, my family, my friends, my all relatives who knows me, they passed with this way.
They came over here.
Leave. Yes,
They came here.
yes,
How did they
yes.
get here? The same way?
The same way.
And you told them
only
exactly
one
what to
safety
do,
way.
right?
Yes.
You said, get rid of the pictures.
Yes.
Be nice to Russians.
Yes.
Act stupid.
Yes.
Almost like a deaf
I
mute.
don't understand anything. I don't
What?
know. I just want to leave. That's all.
I'm a cleaner.
Yeah.
I want to clean. Make money cleaning in Poland, right?
Yes,
Something
you can
like
say
that?
anything. Yes.
Yeah, like this
yes.
is better, right?
Yes.
No intellectual, no brain, right? Like the old days in Russia. Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible.
What about, this is a perfect, actually, segue into talking about the Asian mind, because it's such an extraordinary story. In the middle of this war, you can then escape through Russia and come out through Latvia, all those miles, all those kilometers. What does that say, OLGIERD, about the Asian mind? I'll tell you this, before you say that, I'll say that I interviewed, this will help, perhaps. I interviewed Andrei, I forgot his name, the great Russian director, Konchalovsky. And he told me that Russia always looks east, not to the west. They look east, where the bulk of the country is, I guess. And he also told me that Russia was a bit like Mexico. Would you care to comment on Mr. Konchalovsky's statement and on her story?
I have a problem with his brother.
Tell us.
You know his brother.
Yeah. Mykolaiv, burnt by the sun. Yeah. Mykolaiv,
Yeah.
another director. Yeah. Andrei
Yeah.
is very firmly in the anti-Putin camp, and Mykolaiv is in the pro-Putin camp. He's close friends, right?
Mikhalkov. He's
Mikhalkov. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, they have different names for some reason. Yeah,
That's the family story that we'll not probably get into, but
it's a
it
long
is really
story. Going back to Tolstoy. though.
interesting
Yeah.
because what we talk about the Russian mind, and on one side, Russian or Asian mind, because they are kind of intertwined, right? On one side, Karima's story proves us one thing: you can always find loopholes in the system, almost always.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you have to be really careful. And yet another thing, it's something I've been listening to a lot of stories from Russia. At the same time, our good friends Russians are telling us that it's very dangerous in Russia and you should be careful and you cannot say anything. And then you have Karima coming from the occupied country through Russia, going out to Latvia, getting out her family. So maybe something with being not brave is not, not thanks to the Russian mind, but to the Russian set of mind. I don't know. For me, it's a real problem. Russians do look to the east. Russians do, being an anthropologist, I don't like kind of blanket statements that they are like this or like that.
That makes sense, but I was very curious as to why. But obviously, because of the relationship between Russia and China, how far can that go? There's also a lot of competition there, obviously, but.
Well, I can talking about China and Russia, I can tell you one thing. There is, if you look through the Russian intellectuals who are talking about China, most of them are looking forward to Chinese help, telling everybody in Russia as experts that this is going to be a great friendship, this is going to be a great time, that China and Russia is going to, there's this word, передел мира, they're going to change the world, the set of the world into something different. Get rid of NATO, get rid of USA, all those, Polish dogs and other people. And now that China and Russia will rule. And at the same time, which is really interesting, although China does support, and I would even think, go very far, and that's kind of a conspiracy theory, just don't give me any hats, that China silently nudged Russia towards the war, because for them it's going to be very useful later.
Why? Because economically, or why?
Well, what is needed in the economy like China?
Well, making lots of things.
Making lots of things, they need fuel.
Oh, they need fuel to make the
natural
things,
resources.
right? I see what you mean. Yeah.
And there was a big problem between China and Russia as to all the structural works that would allow Russia to export fuel to China and gas, and Chinese actually forced them to buy it, to make it by themselves. So I think that they're after those resources eventually, and Russia does not see it.
Right, and there's been a constant encroachment from China on the border of Russia over the years. They're just moving people into Russian territory, just walking them across, right?
It's not even the border. I used to go to Lanude in older times when we were teaching Polish, when it was still possible to teach Polish in the summer camps in Zabaikalia. And I have been meeting a lot of Chinese people. They're working there, they're living there. So it goes underreported in Central Russian media, and I don't know. On one hand, Chinese are just as patriotic as Russians. If you look at their posts and how the Chinese internet behaves, they are supporting the Russians. But the moment Chinese government will decide that now we're going to use the situation, the opportunity, it will change to the completely different narrative. Even easier than in Russia. In Russia, they are in a kind of a, I'm afraid to use that word, but the fascist feeding frenzy right now.
Okay.
because it's really weird.
Why are you afraid to use the word? Because this kind of authoritarianism is...
No, because I think
close
the
to-
word fascism is overused altogether.
I see. All of these catchphrases are overused, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They're almost losing their meaning. What we could say is authoritarianism. We can say that. That
Well,
seems-
it's somebody said it's not even authoritarian, but much stronger. It's already a totalitarian country, but hybrid totalitarian.
Okay, would you care to explain or elucidate
No,
that?
because they do seem to have a driving idea right now, which is to get rid of all the fascism in entire Europe, and it is being more and more propagated on the Russian TV. And what is scary for me, people are believing in that. There is two Russian mindsets that seem to be prevailing. One of them is believe what the government says. Let's make Russia great again. Sorry to use that phrase, but it's a catchphrase that it is happening in Russia. And
Well, there's nothing wrong with making your country great if you're actually making it great. But they're doing the opposite.
They're making it great with actually trying to invade other countries, and Russia
Right.
seems not to be able to do without that. And you know, as a Polish person, it's always interesting for me. It's actually, I really like the Karima story because it proves that there are humans in Russia.
Yeah, I think that's that's what gets me immediately. And I think Nicholas, too, we were talking
Yeah.
about it in the break. It's extraordinary.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, as opposed to
You're
our
very
Western
brave, by
press
the
like
way.
you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
it was not a surprise for us here what Russians did in Bucha. It's like people keep on forgetting on both sides. In Russian sides, because in Russia I hear a lot of narrative from the
Yeah.
opposition that, oh yeah, Russian did some bad things in Germany, but it was because there was no. Russians started doing bad things in Poland, in other places that were so-called liberated, and it was always like that. There was a massacre in Poland by Suvorov in 1794 in Praga, in the part of Warsaw.
The part of the eastern part across the river, yeah.
Yes, when they massacred they took the place, they massacred 10 to 30,000 because we don't know. There are descriptions of that massacre surviving, which really people can put it side to side with Bucha. It's the same thing. And you know what are the military schools for young people in Russia called?
No.
Suvorov schools.
Okay. So they
Because
learn
he's the
that
hero.
sort of behavior.
Well, they do not really learn expressis verbis, this kind of behavior. But there is something installed of being indifferent to humans, actually, that might have to human life. Actually, it maybe is what helped Karima to get through. Being indifferent.
They're just kind of indifferent. As long as you don't bother me, go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Something like that, yeah. Well, it's
Yes,
in the-
because all the people that were killed, they were somehow got in their sides. And yeah, I want you, I want your body, I want your money, I want your bike. I want to have fun shooting.
Something, yeah. Something stimulating as long as it's, you don't bother me. Okay, I get it. Karima, do you feel, because this is interesting what he was saying, but do you feel you've escaped from the frying pan into the fire by coming to Poland? Because there's a lot of talk. A few weeks ago, we were talking about possibility of nuclear war. We were talking about, is Putin perhaps seriously ill? And there was a bit of resistance to speaking about those subjects. And now they're talked about almost every day. And in fact, Peggy Noonan has written an article in the Wall Street Journal where she's talking about the very real possibility that some kind of nuclear weapon might be used, even only tactical, but might be used by the Russians. And is Poland next, is the kind of question. Is Poland next, OLGIERD?
I would ask Karima.
How do you
think?
feel? I mean, your country is under attack, and you're part Afghan. Your father was
Yes.
Afghani.
Yes,
You
he
use your
is.
mother's name, you were telling me. So your father was Afghani, so you have a history of knowing what the Russians are like in your family. What you feeling now? Are you safe here?
it's so hard to answer this question, you know, because with my experience before the war started, maybe 3 days, I gave interview for Taiwanese TV show and make so many video and show them that it's very safety to stay in Kyiv. Nothing can happen. Don't believe in this news. It's just
Right, so you're...
it's just too many information and talks, and you know, after 3 days, it's really happened.
The
That's
war
why
happened,
now,
which you didn't expect.
yes.
So now you think...
Now,
what?
we can expect everything actually.
Okay, I thought you might be. Are you there, Olgierd? Do you agree?
Yes, I'm there. It's actually interesting because I was entirely on the opposite side. I was pretty sure that something is going to happen.
Yeah.
And the moment that war started, I was really afraid of nuclear strikes because that would be the best way to get rid of Poland very fast and take a chunk of Europe for the Russian Empire. But on the other hand, I think, which is really interesting from my point of view, I think that the more Ukrainians are fighting against Russia, the less possible is the nuclear strike.
Nicholas?
I'm not sure that Putin went mad. I think
he's not starting from a great place. I mean, the guy has. I mean, if you've ever seen anybody with psychopathic tendencies,
of course,
yeah.
He's not mad. He's just a psychopath.
He's not bouncing off the walls. We're not saying that, but he is psychopathic because
he's psychopathic, but
kills indiscriminately. Yeah.
Yeah, he does, but the calculation here will be really, really against him, because unless the West will do something really wrong, if he's got a mutual, destruction assured with any kind of nuclear strike, and I believe in England here, United Kingdom, so at least that makes us almost sure that he will not strike in a NATO country or even Ukraine. For the first 2 weeks, I was actually living in the village because of that. Because I was pretty sure that the first thing to be hit will be Warsaw, because then the Poles would be, of course, in Russian mind, they'll give up, and they'll be able to take a big chunk of Europe out. Of course, I don't think that we would have given up, but that's what they were thinking about Ukraine as well. So they have some other ideas about our mindset.
You know, Olgierd, it's interesting. I want to throw this over to Nicholas and get his bit of NATO expertise from him. People forget, if you could just talk about this subject, because a lot of people forget about it or they're not aware of it. What is Kaliningrad and where is it?
Kaliningrad is what was the old Königsberg in East Prussia. So it's up in the north.
Don't forget, it was also called Królewiec.
Also called Królewiec in Polish.
That's correct. It was
this part of East Prussia retained by the Soviet Union, as it then was after the Second World War, and is now this sort of enclave, which is allegedly, although I've not been myself, the most highly armed place on the planet, which the Russians essentially use as just some sort of garrison and sort of arsenal of weaponry. Yeah. And there was some talk, what they have there are supposedly some missiles which are very dangerous, and certainly Warsaw is within striking distance, and probably other places as well.
We know that they have
and it's significant because
where
it's located, you have on the coast, Baltic coast, you have Kaliningrad, and then you have Belarus, and there's a thing called the Suwalki Gap, which essentially, if the two, Belarus and the Russians in Kaliningrad got together, you could close the border from Poland to Lithuania, which would essentially cut off those three Baltic states, which are also the three northern members.
It's 60 kilometers. We've been there.
Exactly, that's a significance.
And my other show, the travel show, Poland Daily Travel, we've been there, and it's very tank-friendly country.
Very tank-friendly country, which of course is what is the Donbass region now, is a much more tank-friendly country than was the surrounding region of Kyiv, which was made the Russians. Tanks and woods don't really get on very well together, and so that's why the Russian forces did so badly in western Ukraine and these major cities, because of course the tanks could only move along major roads, which is very easy for the Ukrainian forces with their handheld anti-tank missiles, the Javelins and the NLAW from the UK, to knock off tanks and artillery vehicles. In the Donbass area that's much flatter territory. It's much easier for mass tanks to operate. And as the Ukrainians say, that even if they're very successful knocking off one tank, the Russians, although they don't know how to use their tanks, or they're not using their tanks effectively, and although they're driven by untrained, demotivated people, the fact is they have so many that, as Stalin once said, quantity is its own quality after a while. And I think that's one of the issues which the Ukrainian forces are facing at the moment. And that's why Donbass is so key to what happens next, because neither Ukraine nor Russia can afford to lose the struggle for Donbass. If Ukraine loses, Russia, there's nothing to stop Russia going all the way to Odessa, all the way along the coast and actually cutting Ukraine off from the sea. At the same time, Russia cannot afford to lose this, because that would be the only thing they can claim victory for at the moment, is that Putin, if he wants to say something by next week, May the 9th, I think
take those two provinces.
Yeah, it has to be able to
but
point
they're not
to some
going to
victory.
get there by the 9th.
They're not going to get there, but it's very, very important
Not going to happen.
that the Ukrainian forces can get the weaponry they need to be able to carry on. Because
there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is, because there's
$33 billion.
Yes.
The United States president has.
And this, more significant, or equally significant, is this Lend-Lease Act.
Yeah.
Which
of course,
Lend-Lease
we should have done
which
earlier.
of course, just for those who are watching, of course, reflects or has a parallel with the Lend-Lease Act under Roosevelt in 1941,
That's right.
whereby the United Kingdom and, to a lesser extent or to a greater extent, the Soviet Union were able to draw down supplies from the United States, which at that point, it became inconceivable, given the American production, that the Allies would lose the war. And I think, in fact, that is the point at which it became inconceivable in normal circumstances. And by normal circumstances, I mean, assuming we don't end up with a nuclear war, it is now inconceivable, ultimately, I think.
We can't assume that.
We can't, but I think,
But
in as much as we can...
We say calculating that we don't. Playing the odds.
The moment the Americans have decided to make this available to Ukraine is the moment that actually the Americans are saying we are not prepared to see Ukraine lose this conflict. Now, what victory means is something...
lose.
Yeah, but the Americans have finally decided, and it's quite interesting. The war aim has changed. Sorry, I know we're running out of time.
I've got to stop you. We've got to finish now.
Okay.
But one sentence.
Yeah, very quick. How the war aim has changed. It was sitting on the bylines, hoping Ukraine win, but expecting them to lose and be doing some deal. It's then sending weapons to Ukraine. It's now actually going for Ukrainian victory, and people are already talking about, beyond a Ukrainian victory, is preventing Russia from ever being able to do anything like this again. And this is from America. This has been this subtle change over the 67 days of the war so far, which is very interesting.
Thank you, Nicholas. That's Nicholas Richardson. Thanks for the comment there. I've got OLGIERD UZIEMBŁO on there. Will you come back and join us again?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it'd be great. And we could go much further into this subject. I wanted to give Karima plenty of time into the subject of the Asian mind and the history of the Mongols and everything. This is a rich tapestry on which we can embroider.
You've got all this Eurasian ideology in Russia, Dugin and all that story. That's really
this is fascinating. Yeah, yes, exactly. Mr. Dugin, what a fellow he is. Karima, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for
and thank you for your story. Karima Romaniv with her story of escape from Ukraine through Russia into Latvia and coming to Poland. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Will Richardson. This has been There's a Will. I want to thank once again all our guests and Father Alexander in Kyiv for stopping off with us. Have a pleasant rest of the week and take care.